Here's a live look at Las Vegas right now. You know, we all saw news of the cyber attacks at MGM and Caesars in Vegas a few weeks ago. And today marks the beginning of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And not only are companies big and small scrambling for the latest protections, personally, we have vulnerabilities on our own devices. So everyone say hello to Garrett McManaway. He's an information security expert at Wayne State University, and he is joining me now to talk about this. Garrett, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
All right, Garrett, so I feel that we have more awareness about cybersecurity threats and what we should be doing to protect ourselves. But are the numbers bearing this out, or are these cybersecurity threats on the rise?
No, I think they're growing, and the numbers, kind of show that. And I don't think it's slowing down anytime soon. So it is something that is important for, I think, everyone to look at. You mentioned not just corporations but individuals as well. And this being the start of Cybersecurity Month, it's a good time to start the discussion.
So I had a conversation probably about 2 or 3 years ago with the CEO of Domino's Pizza, and I asked him what kept him up at night, and he said cyber attacks. Can you give us an understanding of maybe how many millions of dollars that companies are investing in trying to protect themselves from these kind of attacks that keep on changing?
Yeah, it's a significant amount of money that goes into this. It's the top of everyone's mind. It's the top of every leader of every organization. It should be at the top of discussion. The board level of all these organizations. It's millions of dollars every year to go into prevent these types of attacks.
Can you outline for us probably the main number or the kinds of attacks, and then some of the ransom that we're seeing in the larger cases like at MGM and Caesars that happened just a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So ransomware, and just to kind of explain what that is, it's really what it sounds like. It's malicious software that an attacker uses to hold a company's data or systems for ransom. And those payments can reach into millions, multi-millions, tens of millions of dollars. With Caesars and MGM, each organization took a different approach to addressing the situation. With Caesars, they reportedly ended up paying the ransom, which I think was somewhere in the range of $15 million or around there. With MGM, they chose not to and decided that they would take a different approach, was to try and recover all of their systems. If you ask the FBI, other government organizations, they would tell you probably the worst thing to do is to pay those ransom fees to organizations, because end of the day you're dealing with criminals, and you don't know if those criminal organizations are going to hold true to their word and let you have your data back, or they're just going to come back again and raise the fee next time. So that is probably the biggest attack that's going on. I think it's going to continue to be the biggest attack into the near future, because it is working, as some organizations choose to take the route to pay those fees because it makes the most sense for the business to get it back up and running quickly.
Garrett, even though we have programs and, here even our protections at work here at Local 4 with our computer systems, it still feels like it's the humans that kind of let the process down through the social engineering, that we end up letting something through. Talk about just training for people in general, and reminding them that an email or clicking on something or a link or thinking that they should automatically respond to something can really open up a lot of things, not only with their work, but their personal items too.
Yeah, that's a great point. So one of the significant things that happened in both of these attacks was there was a component of social engineering that was used by someone pretending to be someone of importance, and calling the help desk to gain access into those systems that do help control the identity. And from there, we're able to create their own accounts that allow them to deploy the malicious software and deploy that ransomware. So it is important for everyone to take a moment and think about what it is that is happening when you are presented with an email, you're presented with a phone call, you're presented with some other mechanism where someone is trying to use those things. And it could, a lot of times there's some clues that you can kind of follow. One, sense of urgency is a big one, sense of emotion, trying to, get someone to do something. Because if you think about it, all of us as employees, we're paid to do a job, and we want to do that job and be successful at doing that job. So it's our first nature to do that. But sometimes you have to also think, is it or is this really sound right? A lot of give you a recent example of some of the things that have seen. Will be an email saying from some person of authority saying, "Hey, I'm stuck in a meeting and I'd like you to go buy some gift cards because we want to reward our employees for doing such a good job this month." Most organizations have a defined process for purchasing, and normally would not be an email that would come from the CEO or come from your boss or those sorts of things. So the best thing to do when you have questions is validate with the sender of that information. Are they really who they say they are? And don't do it by responding to the email. Do it through looking up their phone number in your corporate directory or some other mechanism that you trust to know that that person is doing what they do. Taking a moment just to look at the link that's in the email, if it looks right, if it's suspicious, use the resources. Reach out to your local security teams if you're working in an organization, or look at other help from other experts if you have questions. But the best thing that I always say is, in today's world, if it sounds too good to be true, and I think that this is something that's not new, it probably is.
Yeah, and take a moment, take a pause, and think twice through things. Garrett McManaway, information security expert at Wayne State. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.